Hip, hip. That's how we do sound tests. Yep. Hip. I go, bah, hip. That's how I do sound tests. What's up, everybody? My name is Mike.
I'm Nick.
We don't have time for it, so let's start with all the new stuff we played this month.
All the new stuff we played this month. Rapid reviews. We go very quickly to each game we played this month. Quick views. We got like, what, 59 games to go through? So yeah, we played a lot this month.
Yeah. First thing we're going to talk about is a juicy fruits.
Indeed. So we're going all the new stuff to us first. Juicy Fruits. I really like Juicy Fruits. Got like a little slide puzzle, like we were trying to like rearrange like a picture. It's that kind of puzzle, but that's how you get resources in this game. You're getting fruits, you're going through the jungle, grabbing fruits, and then selling them to ships, essentially.
Just simple contract fulfillment stuff, you know?
Yeah.
But it's really, that slide puzzle is a fun way to kind of do resource
do that.
management
Yeah,
stuff.
I would love to see that a little bit more in games because I think it's a great way to do it. Yeah, I
I'm
really like
enjoying
Juicy Fruit.
Fruits.
Really liked it.
Speaking of other games, praise be to Phil Walker Harding and making Llamaland. Llamaland is a cross between Gingerbread House and Barren Park, in that you have polyomino shapes like you do in Barren Park, and you are building up like you do in Gingerbread House. And often with Phil Walker Harding, it's about what you cover up generates what you get.
Yeah.
So this game does that, where you put these different shaped tiles down that will give you, if you cover up like a cocoa, you get a cocoa. You can get corn and potatoes. You're ultimately trying to feed llamas because, of course, that's what you're supposed to do.
you are.
That's how you have a great day, is beat llamas.
Indeed, and you can get like
the
different
characters.
villagers and stuff, which will give you can like this villager might allow you to trade like cocoa for corn.
Start getting like a little bit of an engine of
and there are
actions
different
you can do.
public objectives you can go for, which you can claim and stuff like that. It's really cool. It's and then whenever you feed a llama, you have to take a llama figure and put it on your board, but that also blocks a space. So now you have to work around the llamas you're putting on your board. It's really, really good. But I will say, for a Phil Walker Harding game, it's a little bit heavier. It's not like heavy.
Yeah,
But for a Phil Walker Harding game, it's
you can get quite puzzly with how you build up.
Yeah, it's really fun though.
Really
good.
We played Overboss, a boss monster adventure.
Again, very simple little
super simple tile laying game where it's all about adjacency, but it's all kind of set. You're like these like old school kind of like arcade or video game villains. You're these monsters and stuff. And so all these tiles want to be placed in different ways. Sometimes they want to be next to certain things. Sometimes they interact with other tiles they're placed next to. You have like these little monsters and creatures that belong to the tiles that you can get bonus points if you get them onto the right tile. You're trying to build lines of bands, they're called, of these creatures and stuff. So it's all just spatial awareness.
Yeah, it's just spatial puzzle. It's
tile
good kind
placement
of
stuff.
End of the night,
But
you're
real
like,
quick.
let's play something quick. Let's play some just kind of spatial puzzle. It's got a nice little puzzle, but it's not like a lot to think about. Yeah. And yeah, it's got
Really
a cool
nice.
little 8-bit art. I really like Overboss a lot. I think it's cool.
Yeah. We played Seven Wonders Architects, which I really
Holy
liked.
crap, this was good.
I really enjoyed it. I
Seven
really want to
Wonders
get it.
is a game. Seven Wonders Duel
Nick's
is a
favorite.
bad game.
Oh, how dare you?
No, it's fine. But Seven Wonders Architects is really good. It's like a streamlined version of Seven Wonders. And Seven Wonders is already a pretty light game ultimately, but it basically takes you basically have a
card
stack
draft
of
anymore.
cards in between you and your opponent, you and your partner essentially, and you just choose, do I want to choose the top card of this stack or the top card of this stack? That's it. And all you're trying to do is build your personal wonder, and everyone has their own.
Right.
And that's it. And it's really, really good.
It takes a lot of the stuff like, oh, I need 2 brick and a wood. And here it's like, I need 3 different resources. And that's among all the types that can show up. And it's all the ones you see in Seven Wonders. Or I need 3 of the same resources.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what those are. So it's very easy to understand.
Yes.
You still have culture cards, which give you straight up points. You still have science, which gives you tokens and stuff. But it's just easy, and I feel kind of like a little more asymmetrical because your wonder and stuff might give you access to certain things.
You're very different, yeah.
How you build that wonder up is different. Seven Wonders Architects was really...
I was very surprised.
I was very surprised by how much I liked that game.
Very, very surprised.
I
That
think
was
it
a
would
big
work well
shocker.
2-player too, which is cool. We played Almadi, which is a really interesting little tile laying game as well.
Matthew Jude was constantly telling us about this game. He's like, you guys try to play Almadi because it's named by the same person who did a Quadropolis. Yeah. It's got an interesting way you're drafting tiles. Yeah. But it's a cool game. You're drafting tiles and you're drafting them from these rows. And no matter where, if you draft it from row 1, you then have to put it in your row 1. And that's kind of a Quadropolis kind of thing going on. And you're basically on the outskirts of these tiles on the 4 sides. There's either an arrow, which is like an action arrow, or some kind of actionable thing. And if you ever match an actionable thing with an arrow, you then get to do that action. And it's a whole bunch of different stuff. You are getting different like market cards. You get these genies, which allow you to then move stuff around, which means you can activate stuff again. It's a cool little puzzle. I did like it a lot. The theme to me is kind of like whatever.
I like the theme because I like that it's, you know...
Yeah.
sort of set in like the Arabian Nights world and stuff, which is cool.
It was cool though. I liked it. I thought it was a solid game.
Yeah, it does get kind of like you really are trying to think of
the puzzle is tough. Yeah,
how does it's really cool.
But yeah, it's an interesting game.
We played Calimala.
Calimala,
right. Which was Nick's favorite looking game ever.
The prettiest game I've ever seen in my life.
So by Fabio Lopiano, who does like interesting action selection type stuff. The same person that made Zapotec and Merv. And this is a really interesting game where you're putting kind of a disc down to make use of these different actions. That we put it kind of an intersection between two, so you get to do both the actions on either side in whatever order you want. But you're gonna start stacking these discs on it, because if you go after I go, you'll get to do that. But then everyone else that's in the stack also gets to do that action again,
including you if you have your own discs.
Right. And so I'm like, man, you can really kind of. I'm just gonna go here, then maybe someone else will go there later. And I get to do this off turn. So there's like a lot of things you got to do, whether it was your turn or someone else's turn, that kept me engaged. And you're kind of trying to you're trying to trade in resources and kind of go to different towns and things, because there's all these different scoring opportunities where each little kind of building or city will score at a different point. So you kind of want to have the most like influence.
Yeah, it's definitely got some interesting scoring going on. It's a very, very interesting game that is up there with Carpe Diem as the ugliest game ever made.
I didn't hate the look of it though.
Oh God, it's horrendous looking. And it's got the most boring theme on the planet. Here's the thing, make it about ice cream trucks.
It'd be amazing.
The different resource, you're getting different kind of ice cream.
Yeah.
The different cities are different houses you're delivering to.
Be willing to go there with a theme, because I'll bet you it hit.
You take that game, which was a super interesting mechanical game, and you put some cool theme like ice cream trucks on there. All the different spots are there. It's like you're going to the park. That's where you have to deliver all these ice creams. That's where you're going to school, deliver all the ice cream. Easy re-theme, and it'll be a game that people actually want to play.
You keep the marble statue part though the same.
The marble statue can be the same,
because that's what's it. Calimala was really fun though.
It was a very interesting game with. It's so ugly. It's
the most classic. You're
literally trading in the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
It's that, but re-theme that thing. Bomb.
All in. We played Call to Adventure Epic Origins.
Yes, indeed. We played Polydemy. There'll be a card hopefully above us here.
If we remember. We had a really fun playthrough of Paula.
Oh, yeah.
This is another in the series of Call to Adventure games. Very similar in terms of like you were building
about to end right now, the campaign.
It's about to end right now, and they've done great. They made over $500,000, which is amazing. That's a lot of money. And you were trying to kind of build out the backstory to your character.
Yeah.
And this time it's a little bit more designed to help you develop a story and stuff for yourself to convert to a D&D campaign.
Character,
It becomes, they have sheets and stuff that become 5th edition compatible.
Yeah.
And so you can kind of like play this game, get your story, and then launch into a campaign with it, which is a really cool thing. It's all about the storytelling. We had just a lot of fun with trying to make a strange, interesting story, which is what that game is like best for.
Yeah.
It's like just have fun with like
that game's all about the
storytelling. Who cares if you win? Like technically there's a winner and stuff. It's like just have an interesting tale. Just have a good time. We all came up with really interesting stories.
Yeah, it was really fun. We had a good time.
That was called Adventure Epic Origins. Nick, we finally crossed off, I'd say dang near a Grail game. It was Coimbra.
For you particularly, you've been obsessed with wanting to play this game for a long time.
I wanted to play Coimbra forever.
It's very true. He has.
Forever. I saw it at Dice Tower Con 1,000 years ago. And I was like, that looks so beautiful, and people are playing it, and the dice have pants. And
they do.
And I didn't know anything about, up until when we played, I didn't know anything about what you do in that game at all.
Tracks.
And it turns out you're bumping up these different tracks that give you resources and give you income and trying to go to different towns, and it's all kind
really
of like
good.
Pretty kind of like accessible. Like it's not like it's not a gateway game or anything, but like where we are within, it's just it hit all the notes. I'm just like, yes.
Yeah.
So we played it. I was just like, oh man, I didn't expect to like it that much, because I'm like, in my head it had this mystique about it, but then it was really quite good. It's beautiful. Really like Coimbra a lot.
Yeah, Coimbra is really good. It was a banger, an absolute banger.
You know what we have played before, but I guess I never logged it, was Crokinole. Shouts out to Crokinole real quick. Bam, bam. Gotta love it.
Yeah.
It's amazing. We gotta get a Crokinole board, dude.
Probably the greatest game ever made.
We get a Crokinole board, we're never playing anything else again.
Sure.
On the air.
Probably,
Crokinole.
real talk.
Just Crokinole. Nick, we played an incredibly disappointing game. And it was...
What?
Dungeons & Dragons Dungeon Scrawlers.
Oh, the Dungeon Scrawler. Yeah, this was unfortunately a big miss for us.
Bummed.
We kind of talked about it afterwards. We're like, I don't know who this game is for. This is a game where it's a roll and write. Well, not a roll and write.
It's what we thought it was. It's literally a
maze puzzle little game.
It's it's a maze scribble game.
Yeah. So everyone has a little dungeon you're going through, and it's a big maze, and you are going through the maze with your thing, and you're basically crossing off. You find a monster, you have to like fill in the monster. If you have like a spell, you have to like draw the little spell. All this different little stuff. We're like, okay, cool. And it's one of those things, and then you're basically trying to score the most points, and everyone has like a little thing that they score. Like my thing, I scored, there's like these magic mushrooms where I scored like 2 points instead of 1 point for those. Yeah. But it was one of those things where it's like, that's like the entire game. There's nothing else to it other than drawing a maze.
And stuff, but it always comes down to just
And it was one of those things where like,
draw quick.
We kept being like, I don't know who this game is for, because the scoring, in our opinion, seemed too complicated for like kids, but what you're doing seems only engaging if you're like a child. And that's not saying that, it's just like as adults, there's no like strategy. You're just literally going through a maze, which is fun, but it's like, it's like, who is this for? Because the scoring, it's hard to score them.
Well, because you have to like pass it to your opponent, which I appreciate, but then it's like, it comes down to like, well, if you didn't cover 100% of the goblin, it's like, well, now I have to make this judgment call. I'm like, it's mostly covered. Is it covered enough?
Yeah,
I do all this thinking for something. I'm like, and then you kind of fall apart thinking like, we're just scribbling stuff anyway. Who cares? Who cares if you were like not quite in the line, and then you dock a point there and do all this stuff. There's all this thought that went into scoring, and it's like
scoring is also, to my opinion, never going to be done correctly. Because also, I'm like, I think I got everything, but like I don't know. Yeah, it was a pretty big disappointment. I was really excited to try this one.
It's honestly terrible, and we do not know. It's like who.
I don't know who
it's audience for this game. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know.
I thought it was like a roll and write game. I thought it was. Yeah, it's not a game. It's just like it's a coloring book with no colors.
I didn't know you disliked it that much.
I hated it. I thought it was awful. Speaking of disappointments, Kabuto Sumo was fine. Kabuto Sumo's game does not live up anywhere near to the art that it has. The art's amazing. I love the world. It was a fun game for about 45 seconds.
No, see, I don't think it was that bad.
I'm in hate mode because of Dungeon Scrawlers.
You're in a hate mood because of Dungeon Scrawlers. Here's the thing:
the game we
played it once. Yeah, we played Kabuto Sumo, and we played it once now, and I'm kind of like, cool. I don't know.
I don't need it.
I don't see what else there is to do in that game. So Kabuto Sumo, it's a very cool, interesting concept where you have all these different like wooden pieces on a board in the middle, and you are like pushing things onto the board, and other things are falling off.
The coin pusher,
which
is great.
And the things that fall off, you then get to grab. And there's like different sizes you can then push on, and you're trying to knock each other off of this thing, which is fine. And everyone has like a special ability, but the special abilities to us, at least, were very, very not impactful. No. And so it was just one of those things where we're kind of like, okay, we play this once. I'm like, this is a cool little idea. But after one time, we're kind of like, okay, I don't know what else there is to see in this game. And it's a short, very quick game too. So I'm just kind of like, okay, like it's the components are great. I really like BoardGameTables.com's games in general. But this one, I was like, okay, like I would play this at a convention. I would play this at like a game cafe.
Yeah.
I do not need to
I would not want to play less than 4 players because I want to have as much interaction. We had 3 and it didn't feel like quite enough.
Yeah.
The thing about it is like it's a short game, but it's not short enough.
Yeah.
For what it is, that game should not be 10 minutes.
Yeah.
At max. And ours went on for like 15 or 20 and I'm like, it's like, this is where I got, I'm like, okay, I want to be left wanting more. And by the end, I was just like, thank God someone fell off. I think I lost. I was like, okay, cool.
You did lose.
Because I'm like, we get to a point where it's like, we don't really have any pieces left to use. And I'm just like, man, I can't, you're not doing anything cool.
Yeah.
You don't do any cool moves.
And there's not really that much strategy in it. Like, yeah, it was fine. It was, again, I'd play it at like a convention. I played it at a game cafe. But that is literally it.
I was expecting something that I'd want to explore the other characters. I played it once. I was like, okay, cool. I do not need to play that again. It wasn't bad, but I was just like, oh, you could have been a lot more.
Yeah.
And there was some like fiddliness with like, make sure you push in a straight line. I'm like, well, can I push it? Do I need to be pushing from behind or my fingers on top? Or like, it's just, it wasn't like random enough to be random. They tried to put rules and then it wasn't enough.
It was fine.
Anyway, Khora, Rise of an Empire was fantastic.
That was good.
Bumping tracks.
Yeah, bumping track. Yeah, this is a game. It's really all tracks. This game where you're ancient Greece and you each have like a little faction like Sparta or something like that.
Yeah, city-states,
City-states and stuff like that. And and you have a special ability. And you're bumping tracks and you're collecting these, what were they called? The markers.
Huh?
The markers that you get. What are they called? Whatever.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
The markers you get.
Oh, like the knowledge?
Yeah, the knowledge. That's what the knowledge tokens. And you get those which allow you to like put in cards, which do a whole bunch of different stuff, allow you to like bump up your city states, I guess, like abilities and stuff. We played a 4-player game of it. I really liked it. I thought it was really cool.
When we were playing, by the end, we're like, like we would all be much better at our second play.
Yes.
Because you have to balance kind of your money. Your
I had a horrible game because my first turn, I was like, I'm just gonna blow all my cash on these silly things, and then I spent the rest of the game being like, I can't do much because so don't blow your cash.
And I also never once really bumped my tax track to get income, and I was just like, man, money is tight.
It's really tight.
But I really liked the game.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
I really want to play it again.
Yeah, and it's very abstract. And again, you're like ancient Greece. It's like, sure, you're bumping up tracks, but it's cool.
There's a little bit of asymmetry with the city states in terms of abilities you can get, maybe a focus you should have.
Yeah, it's cool. I liked Khora a lot. That was cool.
We played a fun game called Last Message.
I liked Last Message.
Which was kind of borrowing from like Micro Macro Crime City with the kind of Where's Waldo. This one is fully colored.
That's exactly what it is.
Like a Where's Waldo.
It's Micro Macro meets Where's Waldo.
Yeah. Meets kind of hidden trader, not hidden trader, but like a trader mechanism.
Yeah.
And so in this you have there's a bunch of different scenes, but there's like a Wild West scene and there's just characters.
And it's like Where's Waldo, where it's like there's a billion characters on the thing.
Tons of stuff going on. So it's just a mess. And what'll happen is there's kind of two people behind a screen. There's one who's
on the team, one not on the team.
One on the team, one not on the team. So the person not on the team chooses one character amongst that whole picture that me, if I'm the, the kind of information relayer, the witness they call that, I need to get everyone's attention to that one spot, which is tough when there's like literally hundreds of characters.
One little character, yeah.
And so I can do this by on a board drawing stuff, writing things, giving whatever kind of clues I want, but then you, the trader, will take a certain amount of the squares. It's kind of broken up into 9 squares, and you'll erase like 5 of them.
Yeah.
So now half the stuff that I did is sort of out of context or maybe halfway erased so it doesn't look like anything anymore, and then that gets passed over to the players. And they have to say like, okay,
what do we think this is?
This looks kind of like a water fountain maybe, so maybe it's over here where there's some water, and you start to zero in, and then with further and further rounds, the trader gets to erase fewer and fewer things.
Yeah, it's like 5, then 4, then 3, then 2 squares.
And we kind of home in on something, and so it actually works because when you're first looking at the picture, you're like, there's no way I'm going to get to
this. Oh no, but this might be this thing over here. Okay, so that might be that person.
It was really fun.
It's really cool. I will say a couple other people who we played with, they played more times throughout the week. It's too hard on the trader. They said like every single time the team was able to get it, and the person erasing,
like it's the backwards where it's like you should be able to erase more and more, not less and less.
Yeah, it's weird. It's one of those things where like I would love to get this game because I think it's such a cool idea.
I think it'd be fun to play with chat.
But you would need to, and you would need to house rules some stuff to, I think, make it harder because it's just a little too easy. But it's a really cool idea.
You can't write stuff; you only have to draw. Like there are ways to do it, but there's. I agree. It's like it always seems weird that you get to erase a ton to start. It's like I think it should be like more as you go, and you start off a little bit in the middle because then
it's possible. I don't know. But yeah, it's a very cool idea.
It's a really fun idea though.
Yeah.
Nick, we played the Loop.
We did play the Loop.
Panasaurus
crushing this whole weekend. We played the Loop, which is a co-op game where you're kind of going back through all these different eras, like the Renaissance era, all the way up to like the information
time
era.
traveling, trying to kind of fix discrepancies.
And
in the timeline,
because Dr. Foe is going around messing stuff up. And sending out clones of himself everywhere, and you have to go like clean everything up. It's really, really fun to play a 4-player game, and I really liked this game. This is a cool game where you're playing out these cards and you're activating these cards, but then you can do something called a loop because there's like energy on the board, and you use that energy to move around. But you can also use that energy to do something called looping.
Yeah, you refresh your cards.
Yeah, and you loop and you refresh some of your cards so you can do them again. And then you can loop again, but it's more expensive. But then you get to refresh again. And it's like really, really cool. We got destroyed super hard.
It's really hard.
But it's got a cool tower, a cube tower. Yeah. It's really fun. I really want to get the loop badly.
I really want to get it. I hesitate because I think at 2 players would be too hard, but I guess we could each play 2 characters.
We could. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's brutal.
It's really
brutal,
yeah.
but it was a fun co-op.
Yeah, the loop is a banger.
The style and the look and the looping is a really interesting thing.
Really cool.
The loop was really awesome. Nick, we played Merchants of the Dark Road.
We did play. We played this a couple different times,
including earlier today as of this recording.
Today. Yeah, we played it over the weekend. We played a 3-player game. We were all kind of afterwards at the first player, kind of like, okay, that was fine.
Yeah.
And really, we're kind of just like, okay. And then we played this morning. We both talking about like, actually, I liked it a lot more because this is a game where you're merchants on a dark road and you're kind of going on a rondel around this thing. You're basically trying to get heroes and you're trying to get items. And then you essentially are going out on the other half of the board and you're essentially delivering these heroes and these commissions for points, essentially.
Yeah, points and money, which are the two kind of scoring tracks.
Yeah, and it's cool. It's got this really kind of cool action selection system with your dice. But you can have these orange dice, which are illumination dice, which means when you use one of those, usually when you're at a spot, you have a couple different choices of actions you can do. You choose one, but if you do an illumination die, you get to do both of them plus the illumination action that's there, which are always like really big ones. And the first time we played it, you start with illumination die, and I had that one illumination die. I used it, and I never got another one. And I think when going into it, you're like, oh, you need to make sure you're constantly getting illumination die if you can, because it just allows you to do so much more in the game because you don't have that many turns in the game. Yeah. And this way you can do like 3 actions instead of 1. So upon the second time and really like paying attention to that made me like it a lot more, to the point where I'm like, okay, cool. Because at first I was kind of like, okay, that was fine, but I'm not entirely sure how many times I need to play it.
It took a couple games to get there with it and stuff, which is something that I'm like, stick around and just realize that like the illumination dice are very essential, and they're hard to get. So it's like one like knock I'll give this game is that like some of the coolest things are put behind the biggest barriers. Yeah. And it's like, I get it. You don't want it to be too easy, but I'm like, but that's the thing of the game. Like, that's what we're here for. Yeah. Why are you making it so hard to do the funnest part of the game? Yeah. I want the illumination dice. There's a few things like that where you're like,
and there's a couple
you're wasting your resources on strange things.
And I would like some mitigation, particularly with the hero cards. It'd be nice because, again, there's only a couple places where you can deliver people to, and then all these heroes want to go to different places. So what you want to try and do is get a lot of people who want to go to the same place.
With your travel.
And there's so often where I get like one thing to one place, and then there's just nothing out there that wants to go to the same place. So I'm like, I don't want to spend an entire action delivering this one person. It's very inefficient. And so
it works better in a bigger player count because you get to join a caravan.
And this is one of those games where I think 3 or 4 is probably the way to play it. Yeah, but it's good. I did like it.
Yeah, I'm excited to play another game at higher player count for sure. We played Project L.
Wow. Ooh, really good.
Project L was
really
fantastic.
Good. It is just simple. This is what this game is.
Acrylic pieces.
Nothing.
You set them into nice little dual layer puzzle boards. And you try to fill that thing, which will give you points at the end of the game, most likely, and it'll give you another piece. And so now you get more pieces to build. You can build bigger puzzles, and it just kind of ramps up nicely. But it's just like
it's just
these puzzles.
It's kind of like it's like the slide puzzle, something you've seen before. It's like you have this shape, and you have these different shaped tiles, and you need to put them in there to fill out that shape. Once you fill up that shape, you then keep that card, you'll get points, and you get another piece, and then you're working on another one. And it's just like super simple. There's no theme. It's just like, this is what you're doing. Just do this, and then leave. And it's really good.
Really enjoyed
Project L. Is really good.
Yeah. We played Riverside, which is a small roll and write that we really enjoyed, and we can play with chat, we think. So
we can play with chat for sure. That,
where you are giving river cruises up in kind of
like Alaska kind of area?
Alaska, like the Northern Lights are a part of it and stuff, but it's a really charming game where you're trying to take people on expeditions, kind of like local trips and things. Yeah. It's all kind of filling up boats and just crossing stuff off, but with a really charming, nice theme that we really enjoy. So we're going to be playing that with chat soon.
Hopefully soon, yeah.
As I really liked an interactive night.
It was a charming little roll and write.
Charming roll and write. I'm just like, yes, thank you very much. This is exactly the kind of thing I enjoy. Yes, yes, yes. Riverside was really cute.
Really good.
Really liked that one. Nick, we played Clover, which is the next kind of clue-giving social deduction type game I really want to get.
By Repos, who did Just One, which is another kind of like co-op.
They're crushing that right now. Kind of party. I said social deduction, I meant kind of like party clue giving.
Yeah, so you have this weird little Clover board, and you have these 4 cards, and on the 4 cards, little square cards, there'll be 4 words on them, and essentially you kind of randomize them and put them in your thing. So on the side of every Clover, there's always gonna be 2 words.
And they're completely unrelated.
You have no idea. They're just random what they are, and then above each of those pairs, you have to write a clue. And so if you had like, I think I had like park and like, I don't know, but basically you have to try and find a clue.
Like one of them was just like, you had like salmon and casino. And someone was like, I don't know, smoky, like a smoked salmon and a smoky casino.
Exactly.
And you're like, kind of the code names. You have to find the midpoint
between the two. And then what you have to do is then once everyone's kind of done writing their clues, they then take up their 4 cards and then like kind of shuffle them up and then add a 5th card that's unrelated to everything. And then they kind of shuffle them up, put their board out, which still has the clues, and goes, here's the cards, find out what the matches were. Yeah. And it's really fun. And this big discussion of like, oh, they could be smoky salmon. Oh, but there's forest. There's a lot of forest fire,
And
smoky
you actually
bear.
can put it together.
And you
It's
really
wild.
can. It's definitely doable. It's really good as a co-op little party game. Really good.
I love that game. I want to get that for like dinners and things. I'm like, that is a perfect game for that. It's
absolutely
really
incredible.
great.
Yeah.
So Clover was just hit.
Really
I really enjoyed that one a lot. We played Super Skill Pinball 4K.
Yeah,
we got the newest one as well. This is a pinball.
We've been wanting to get it for a while. I love this idea for a roll and ride. It's a pinball game where basically like
balls bounce all around.
You're rolling out a dice and you have your little pinball, and on your little sheet there's a whole bunch of different numbers, and your ball will have to go constantly down until you hit a flipper, and then you can go back up again, and you're basically going down to different numbers and trying to, depending on the sheet, because all the sheets are different pinball machines, you're trying to do all sorts of different stuff. I thought it was absolutely charming.
Yeah.
I thought it was great.
I was like, that's really fun. And then with the new pack, there's even cooler different themed arcades that have different mini games and stuff.
Super
like,
cool.
That's just a genius idea for a roll and ride. We can come
and
out
my
with
thing is
more
like,
and more
keep coming out with them.
arcades.
Keep giving me arcades. Give me arcades, whiz kids. Give me
pinball
arcades.
machines.
Yep.
Yeah, really fun. We played Tabannusi Builders of
We did. We played
next
the
big T game.
I really liked this one.
Yeah.
I thought it was absolutely. I thought it was really cool.
It
The
hit
puzzle was interesting.
a nice level where it's definitely weighty and stuff, but it wasn't quite like Tekenu level difficulty. It was a nice step down from that, if slightly. But I thought it was really beautiful looking.
Yeah.
And you're building out buildings in these different districts, and you kind of are synergistic with each other. Where maybe you put down some project tiles, and I'll build a building over those project tiles. So I get credit for the building, but you get some bumps up tracks for having kind of laid claim to the project tiles. But by you doing that, I keep my cost cheaper. So kind of everybody wins.
Yeah.
And you're trying to work out a situation where it's like, well, I want to win the most stuff out of this, but I want to keep my costs down. And so you really kind of have to work together a little bit.
Yeah.
Or it's really about like, I'm going to place this here and please build over so I can get this thing over here.
Yeah.
And you're kind of really hoping your opponents do stuff that
very
sort of
interesting.
inadvertently helps you.
Yeah, it's cool. I liked it a lot. It was a good addition to the kind of the big T games that Board and Dice does. And yeah, David spotted a good job.
Bam, Wild Space. Nick, talk about it quick.
Wild Space was probably my favorite game, but we played at BGG Con. I really, really liked it. It's an engine builder game where you have a crew of space animals like owls and bears and rhinos and stuff. And then you have these emissary cards, which are also space animals, but they basically will have scoring on them because all your crewmates will have, they'll be an animal and then they will have some kind of job, like military or a pilot or something like that. And a lot of these cards will be like, for every pilot and owl you have, every set of those two, you'll get 2 points. And so you only have 10 turns in the whole game, but you're trying to build up this crew to make the most points. And it is harder than it sounds. And it's really, really cool.
But you can build out these great combos because you get this card which is like, well, if you play this, then you can play a robot for free. Well, I have a robot, I can play that. So now you can play a military character for free. Bam, you can play that. Like, you will chain off some stuff that you're like, wow, I didn't think I'd be able to put that together. And
when you first start playing the game, you're like, what am I even going to be able to do in 10 turns? And you get to do a lot. It's really, really good.
Really fantastic. Jump cut! So that was everything new to us that we played this month. Let's quickly go through everything that we did a repeat of. The Crew Mission Deep Sea, the most played game of the month, because you play hand after hand after hand.
You do, and
I love this game so much. Trick taking, gone cooperative to the max level. It's amazing.
It's really, really good. It's better than the old Crew.
Absolutely. A game I played a lot of that I say is so replayable is Cascadia.
Yeah, we both played Cascadia. You played a bunch of Cascadia.
I'll play with anybody and everybody all the time.
It is, I think this is a game that's going to be around for a minute. I think it has that evergreen ability of, it's so easy. Everyone can play it. It can be a gateway game. It's so simple in terms of rules, and just the puzzle is, it's outstanding.
Yeah, it's so solid. Just that tile laying goodness and getting those animals where you want them to be is fantastic. We played some Le Havre. We have it in person now. It's amazing. I soloed it because I just want to play it. We played at BGG Con. I played on the app. Lots of Le Havre in my life right now.
Le Havre is incredible. It's so good. Fish,
all your friends, and food.
It's really, Le Havre is, if you haven't played it, it's a classic Uwe at this point. It is stupid good.
It's a good one. It's a classic, but great one. Nick, we played some Bandido.
We did.
Brought that with us to BGG Con because it goes right in your pocket.
Yeah, it does. And it's become maybe my favorite filler game at this point, at least right now. I freaking love Bandido. It's a little Bandido trying to escape, and you're trying to cut him off. He's trying to dig tunnels out of his little prison, and you're trying to cut him off. And that's all it is. And it's incredibly impossible, and I love it.
Nick, a classic I dusted off and played twice recently is Kanagawa.
You did play that twice.
Man,
you played with your mother-in-law, yeah?
Yeah, Bruno Catala knows how to make a game. This one
Kanagawa's great, dude.
It's fantastic. You are our student of art, and you are painting a series of prints to make a giant landscape.
Yeah.
And you're kind of getting these cards, and you're trying to put together... it's sort of like press your luck almost, but you can add cards to your studio, which gives you more skills, and basically you can paint more types of things and all that jazz. Or you can add prints to your collection. And here you want to get trees, or you want to get characters or buildings. You want to build a long stretch of the same season together. But there's this whole thing of like, once you have 3 trees, you can either get the 3-tree diploma, or you can pass on it and try to get 4 or 5 trees. But you can never go back. So you make that decision of like, I think I can get another tree.
Yeah.
You know, so you're kind of pushing your luck. Do you take the sure points now, but they're less, or you try to go for the big points later and you get more? And so it's like some awesome things in that.
Really good.
Kanagawa was just really beautiful and fun.
Really outstanding.
You played some Paint the Roses.
We did play Paint the Roses.
Finally won.
We did finally win a game of Paint the Roses. Paint the Roses is, again, another game that I think is going to be around for a while because it is just so darn simple. It's a cooperative deduction game where you are building out the Queen of Hearts garden, kind of the Alice in Wonderland
world. Trying not to get your head chopped off.
Yeah, and she has all these whims she wants. She wants certain things next to certain things, but the problem is I know what whim she wants me to do. I don't know what one she wants Mike to do.
We can't talk about it.
We can't talk about it. And so you're putting out these tiles and putting out clues like this makes a match for me, but you don't know what the match is. And so you're trying to put stuff in places.
This shape, this color to that color.
And man, it's so much fun. And it is so simple. And it's just, it's an absolute banger. I think it's good. I like the base game just as it is. I don't really ever feel need to put any modules in, honestly.
No, it's a beautiful game though. The deluxe version is just like very satisfying. The set in board and everything like makes it very easy.
Oh yeah.
It's a beautiful game. Paint the Roses is just tight. Played some Patchwork. Speaking of classics, Nick, Patchwork is so good.
Talk about classics.
Making a quilt, stitching it twice.
Yeah, that's right. It's polygonal tile game where you're making a quilt. It's still brutal and tough because you get a lot of negatives at the end of the game. You're trying to fill in your quilt as much as possible. It's so good.
It's so solid. Nick, played some Calico. My wife wanted to play Calico with a friend and stuff, and I don't think we had Cascadia quite. And we played it, still really like it. Cascadia blows out of the water for me, but Calico is a fun. If you want a tougher puzzle, it's a little bit more like and brutal. Calico.
I still love Calico, but yeah, Cascadia.
Plus cats are fun, aren't they? Yeah. Nick, we played Carpe Diem.
We did play Carpe. Well, you played Carpe Diem. I was ducking. I wasn't really feeling it.
That's all right, man. It's harder to play now because it's just real ugly.
Yeah.
And like this is one where I'm like, and I'm teaching it to two new people, and I'm just like,
man, rough.
This is rough because I'm like sort of apologizing for it the whole time, but I'm like, it's a fun game, but I'm really sorry about this and this and this.
I know.
Because it was the older version. I'm like, and okay, yeah, there's some issues, but like these
it's
are
really fun. It's really fun.
And then like the thing about that game I'll say is like based on the scoring conditions that come out, it can be a lot easier or a lot harder. And the way the scoring guards came out on this one was really hard.
Yeah.
And I was like, I might go through and like cherry pick scoring cards in the future just to give you like, you're not going to be like hurting so much for points. But Carpe Diem still has some cool stuff going on.
I really like the game. We talk about our unrated games. Like I really like the game.
It's its own fault that it has not more popular. Castell, man. We played some Castell.
We did play some. We were at BGGCon and someone who had heard us talk about it a lot said,
hey, bought it in like a math trade.
Do you mind if we play it? And we were like, yeah, let's play it. And guess what? Castell's incredible. Play it right now.
Play it. So fun. Stacking people has never been more fun.
People on people.
People on people. Nick, we played Detective Club. Speaking on people on people on people, we had a dinner party here.
It's so good.
Played some Detective Club.
Detective Club is so good. It's like Dixit meets Spyfall, but it's better than both. And it's just great where one person is putting out, telling people clues based off the cards they're putting out, but one person isn't getting the clue, so they're just trying to deduce what the clue might be and trying to blend in, and it's great. The trader has a way to lie, a way to blend in. A lot of times, if you're not the trader, you look really guilty because you just have bad cards.
Yep.
It's just outstanding.
We played Dice Miner, which is just so fun.
Dude, this is one of the best games of the year. Real talk.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be on that list. Yeah. It's just such a fun dice drafting game where the different types of dice will be, there's tunnel dice. You want to get a set 1 through 5 of them to score a bunch of points. There's gems, which are just worth straight up points. But if you have the most gems, you get double points. Whole bunch of things like that. Really simple, though. Really simple. There's a beer mechanism where I can pass you one of my dice that shows beer, and I can take 2 dice from the mountain. I get to take them from the sides, not just from the top. So you get to break a little bit of rules. When we were playing this weekend, we got all inspired thinking about expansions and stuff. So I'm going to try to pitch. I don't know who I pitch it to, but I'm going to find it and pitch an expansion.
I'm not even sure.
And Dice Miner is just really fun.
Yeah,
that's
really
the
good.
point. Nick, we played Dinosaur Island, Rawr and Right.
We did. We played Rawr and Right before, but it was before a stream, so we were kind of rushed.
Quick.
So we got to play it and actually take our time and play it.
Yeah.
And man, the first time we played it, I was like, I don't know how to feel about this one because we just had to rush it so quickly.
Hard to even say.
This one though, oh my gosh, I really like. This is a dinosaur world dinosaur. It's kind of like Dinosaur World and Dinosaur Island mixed together and shorter and lighter. But man, I really, really like the Rawr and Right. It's kind of what I wanted Welcome to Dino World to be.
Yes.
I still like Welcome to Dino World, but the Rawr and Right blows it out of the water for me. It's
no comparison,
so
really.
good. It's just, and it's one of those things, it's kind of like Duelosaur Island. So you kind of want that Dinosaur Island feel, but in a way shorter time frame and not nearly as much stuff on the table. The Rawr and Right. It's incredible.
It'll treat you real good.
Yeah.
We played Don't Mess with Cthulhu.
We did.
Which is like that.
It had
Detective
been a while.
Club are
our social deduction games.
We'll play it at cons, really,
Yeah.
but it is really fun to play at conventions because you are split up into 2 groups. You don't know how many of you are
Cultists
among
and
you.
investigators.
Cultists, investigators, and you
Classic.
are trying to find these elder signs. If you're investigators, if you're cultists, you're trying to find Cthulhu or
waste time.
Waste time. And so everyone has these
so close to
cards
winning
dealt out, and you'll have some amount of elder signs or empty rooms where you might have Cthulhu. And then so you know what you have, then you take it and you shuffle it and you put it face down. So you don't know where anything is. You just know what you have. And of course, you are more than encouraged to lie about that if you want. For whatever reason you want. And then on a turn, someone chooses somebody, say like, okay, I'm gonna flip over this card of yours. And you flip it over. And if you're an investigator, you hope that's an elder sign. And Nick said there's 3 elder signs. They flip it over, it's an empty room. Like, well, you look suspicious. But the fun thing we like about it is like, what if you really did have 3 elder signs?
You have 4 cards in front of you. You could literally have 3 and 1 blank, and then they flip over the blank, and you look suspicious, and you're like, oh my gosh, what are the... And so talk about the odds. So I was a cultist at one point, and I had gained the trust of everyone, particularly a guy named Aaron who we were playing with.
We were all in on Nick. You're like, you're good.
100% in. I was all good. Because as a cultist, a lot of times it pays off to tell the truth. Like, I have 2 other signs, and they flip them over because you're like, I got time to buy it. I had Cthulhu and 3 blanks. And Aaron went back to me 3 times and drew the 3 blanks. I was like, what are the odds he did not choose
like
Cthulhu once?
25, but like,
oh my gosh, I almost won the game. It was ridiculous.
It's so fun. It's such a fun social deduction game. They work in some like little quirks and things you might get, but like
it's really
the
good.
baseline version of that game is just a really good time.
That Detective Club, only social deduction games I want to play.
Yeah, respect. We played Eco's First Continent.
Great.
With the expansion, of course, we just shuffle all that stuff right in now because it's easy to implement.
It's dumb good.
It's such a fun game.
Yeah.
I really love the combos you can build. There's a bingo mechanism where someone draws out a tile from a bag and then everyone can make use of that. You don't have to.
Yep.
You can instead rotate your little kind of player piece that will start to give you more cards you can put into play, more cubes to use, and then you can chain off just great combos of things and work out big scorings. And Nick is so good at this game.
Yeah.
Every time, like midway through, I'm like, all right, I'm in this. And Nick goes like, boom, 15 points, boom, 20 points. I'm just like, oh, I did 3 points, but the game's over now. You get it going in that game. And I'm just honestly like, I tip the cap to you, sir. You are the de facto champion in my heart for that one, man.
All right.
We played Explorers, or rather I did. This is a Phil Walker Harding, praise be to you.
Praise.
Roll and write game.
I was learning something.
You were. I think you were learning
the loop. I was learning the loop. Yeah, I was learning the loop.
And so I had the app of this, but I want to try it in real life because like this might be like really fun to play in real life, and I really enjoyed it even more in real life. It kind of feels like a heavier version of like Silver and Gold, where you're going to... Well, it's not really like you're flipping over these tiles and you'll get like a land type or types if it's a wild, and you'll X off 3 or 2 depending if you follow and a couple things of things from this land type. You're kind of trying to fill out as much of this map as you can to get to temples and get provisions and cross off gems, which are kind of like coins from cartographers. It's just points every round. And you play 4 rounds, but it's just a really fun, light, flip and fill kind of game. By Phil. That's Phil Walker Harding. Flipping Phil Walker Harding. Explorers is really fun. We played Faiyum.
Yeah, we did play Faiyum, yeah.
I like that game a lot.
Yeah, Faiyum's a very interesting kind of like deck programming game where you are doing a bit of deck building, but you're having these cards and you're playing these cards to put stuff out onto the board, but the board is interesting because it's set in ancient Egypt.
It's the Pharaoh's
land. It's
land.
the Pharaoh's land, so you don't own anything. So if you put something down, someone else can then use it because no one owns anything on the board.
Yeah, they can use it. They can build
on top of it,
else out of it. Yeah.
They can do all this different stuff. But then you play your cards into your discard pile. But then when you do the administration action, you then get to draw from the top of your discard pile, and you draw the top 3 cards.
You never shuffle your deck of cards.
You never shuffle your deck of cards. So you're drawing the top 3 cards, and then you can pay money to keep drawing cards.
Yeah.
So the thing is you don't want to, well, sometimes you do, but you generally don't want to bury your cards that you want to keep playing. So you have to play stuff in an order where you're like, okay, I'm cool with burying this card because you have to pay to get those cards
need to spend
back.
Money, yeah.
And it's a very, very interesting, weird game in terms of the way the deck building and programming works, but it's very cool.
Yeah. We played Ginkgopolis, which
still so good.
It's just so good, and I showed it to a buddy and everything. I just think it's like one of the most impressive games of doing so much with so little.
Yeah.
Everything comes down to 3 different colors, which provide you points, tiles, or resources. That's it. And you create an area control game, an engine building game, all with like, and you can only do 3 types of actions.
Yeah.
I'm like,
it's super
to me,
simple.
it's amazing what they get out of it's beauty and simplicity.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, I can do this one simple action, but because I have all these cards I played, I get to get all these bonus things. But those bonus things will always only be tiles, resources, or points.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
Everything is color-coded. Red is resources. Blue is tiles. It's tiles, resources, and points. It's like
tiles, resources, and points.
It's
really
just,
good.
I'm like, man, that's like the beautiful thing. It's just like, that must be harder than putting in a bunch of stuff into the game. It's like, no, less. Make it count. Make it work. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, it really is.
I really like that game a lot. We played Grand Austria Hotel.
We did. We played with friends of ours, and we actually introduced it to a friend of ours, and it's really, really good. The last few times I played this game, I've had like a really hard time playing. I just been playing really bad. This is why I was like, okay, finally I played an okay game of it, man. Yeah. But yeah, Grand Austria Hotel is it's brutal in a good way, where it's just like, it's just so hard to get done what you want to do. And it's just, it's great. We've talked about it a billion times. I love Grand Austria Hotel
we
so
like
much.
it. We played Horrified.
We did.
There's a friend who had always wanted to try Horrified, and so we showed it.
Still
and
great.
I'm like, I like that game a lot.
Yeah, I definitely prefer the American Monsters version now that we went back and played the other version. But it's Horrified's great.
Yeah, I think there's room enough in the world for both for sure. But Horrified is just a good, accessible level co-op kind of game. That's a game to get like friends and family, people who are like, oh man, I love the old Universal movies and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to go down smooth, and it's a fun game to play for gamers and like non-gamers, I think.
Yeah.
I played a game of Marvel Champions.
Yeah.
I played as Thor. Cool. God of Thunder. We got wrecked. It was not. We lost bad. We lost badly. Right. But it was very fun. I enjoyed that game. Cool. My buddy takes me through it and keeps me updated on all the characters, and then carries me through the game because he knows it quite well.
Fair.
But it was really fun. We played Praga, Caput, Regni.
So good.
You're also very good at that game.
I do. I tend to put together a good game of that.
I never got going anywhere in particular in that game. I did the hunger wall well. You know what though? I think I ended up winning, didn't I? It was close, whatever it was.
No, but I think you did end up winning. But
like,
I will say I tend to put together a pretty good game.
I was just like, most of the game, I was just like, man, I don't know what I'm doing here.
I don't even know.
But I did the hunger wall and I did walls, and that was my focus. But Praga, Caput, Regni is just fantastic. Nick, we played The Pursuit of Happiness.
We did.
And I announced that I'm having a baby. Yes. All on the same day.
That's right.
Pursuit of Happiness is dumb fun, dude.
It's super
fun.
fun.
That game so much.
Again, it's not the most deep game ever, but it's a good little Euro game. But
Similar
it is the storytelling.
Yeah, similar to Call of Adventure. I'm like, I just want to have just a strange
doesn't
life.
Even
I
matter.
became the president and immediately retired that. I was like, I quit that job. Just because I'm like, I think it's hilarious to be president for I was like a social media star, became president, quit being president as soon as I got the job.
Yeah.
Never had another job. It's just so fun to me, man. It's so ridiculous.
It's a ridiculous game, but it's great.
Pursuit of Happiness is great. We played Rajas of the Ganges.
Yeah. The OG is great.
Oh, conventions are fun for that because you'll just rattle off all these games where
you're like, I don't play this game. I'll teach it. Yeah.
And they think they just bought it or something where it's like, oh, we'll play it right now. It's one of our favorite games. And as you're playing, you're like, I love this game. I put together a real bad game of it.
You did not have a good one.
You had a good one.
I had a good one. I did not win, but we had a good one.
Terrible.
Yeah,
your game. But I don't care. I had a good time anyway. Nick, I showed my friend Remember Our Trip.
That's right.
And this is the first time it did not go over well.
Yeah.
Didn't go over well.
Yeah.
My two friends that we played with, they're like, nope. And I was like, okay. It is weird and stuff. I really like it, but they're like, it's too weird. It's too tight. It's too brutal because it is kind of a brutal spatial puzzle. It's very tight. It can be, so they were like, they didn't hate it, but they were like, nah. I'm cool. And I was like, oh man,
I love it.
Plays it, like loves it, but that one didn't go over so hot. I still like it though. What else, Nick? Sagrada, talk about it.
We played Sagrada. Sagrada is great. Build the stained glass window. We played with the Life expansion. The Life expansion. It's really, really good. It's nice. It's one of those expansions where it's like, if you don't want to deal with that expansion, just don't do anything with it. And I like expansions like that where you're kind of like, yeah, you interact with this or not. It's Sagrada. It's been around for a while. It's an absolute banger.
It's beautiful dice drafting right there. We played, I think all of us that played the collective worst game of all time of Sierra West.
We did.
In terms of performance, the game went fine, but all of us had very low scores.
3 points.
I think I had 7 and I was in third. I think the winning score was maybe like 15.
Yep.
It's just how it went. The game went really fast. We excavated the mountain really quick and we're like, well,
it was
wrecked on the score.
By far my worst game of that game.
It's so funny. I played, we played a game of Silver and Gold. It's kind of our perfect airport game. We played it in an airport. Praise be to Phil Walker Harding. I love this game so much. You get these polyomino shapes, you flip over and you have to X off things that make that shape. And you're trying to cover up these map tiles. You're filling in all the squares. As many of those as you get to do, you get points. You get little bonuses for palm trees. You can gain coins. You get trophies. You get these red X's. It's very simple.
Filling stuff in, but it's just, again, it's in a tiny little box, and it's just like, you just do it, and it's great.
Nick, Sonora played like a 4-player game of Sonora.
We played a 4-player game of Sonora, which is bananas.
Because it's just chaos.
Because this is a flick and right. You have a dexterity thing where you're flicking your discs into a little mental board, and then depending on where your discs land, you then get to fill in those parts of your roll and write board. It's a very, very cool, really interesting take on a kind of a roll and write type game.
Yeah.
And because you're flicking into a communal board, in a 2-player game, there's a lot less discs on there. Everyone has 5 discs, but in a 4-player game, there's 20 discs. And so it's just mayhem. You have no idea where anything is going to go. And I love Sonora. I think it's a really great take on those types of games, the da-da-da and write games.
There's bonuses all throughout the game. So as you're filling in the 4 different quadrants, you'll get bonuses to help you on this quadrant and that one and that
one. Combo-tastic. It's just
really fun.
Absolutely great.
It's just so unique. I'm like, that one will get points. Just because I'm like, I've never had Crokinole and a flip and fill mixed together, and now I do.
It's a croak and fill,
It's just a
croak and right.
It's a croak and right. I played about half a game at Tekenu. It was on the last day of Board Game Geeks convention, BGG Con, and like we didn't realize that the libraries closed when they did. And so Rainer, I was with Rainer from Board and Dice, and he was teaching it to people, and of course I know it, so I'm like kind of helping and trying to move along. And then we're literally at the first scoring halfway through. And they're like, all right, you got 10 minutes. You got to put these games up. We're like, well, let's just call that the game then.
All right.
But Tekenu is really fun. I have now played it enough that I have kind of turned the corner. That one is a steep learning curve in terms of like, it's very tight. You don't have many turns in the game, and it can feel just really hard. It's not like a lot of stuff to remember.
It's not my favorite for that reason.
Also, there's a lot of stuff to remember, but like it's just so tight. But I now have played it enough that I'm like, okay, I feel like I can operate a little more smoothly.
I can't grok that game. I don't dislike the game, but I just can't grok that game.
Okay, we're getting the expansion, man.
Yeah,
just add on.
I'll play it. I'll try and play it. I can't grok that game. I don't know what it is. I don't know why.
I like it, but I'm so curious about the expansion because I'm like, how are you going to add to that? My brain can barely handle what we have. We'll see about that. So 10 is a fantastic push your luck sort of auctioning game, set collection game, ultimately.
Yeah.
We're trying to collect cards. We did Game House on that. I love this game. We played it with 4 players, and it's like really fun at those higher player counts because the auctions and stuff, it gets really different.
Yeah.
We played it at 2 a lot and enjoyed it too, but it's really great at those higher player counts.
But it's also good
really
at 2.
fun.
Yeah, 10 is outstanding. It's a little
just a
push your luck game. It's really, really good.
Nick, we played Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition. Or no, I played with my wife.
Yeah, you did. I would say I didn't play it. Yeah.
Crushed her twice in a row, dude.
It's great. Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition.
Much to her chagrin, she did not like, and so I beat her, and then she's like, "We're playing it again," and then I won again, and she was just like, "Fine."
It's great. It's my favorite. It's to me. It's
she beats me in almost everything, so I got to count the wins when I get them.
It's the way to play Terraforming Mars, in my opinion. I like it a lot. I don't need to play Terraforming Mars again because it takes all the stuff I love from Terraforming Mars and takes out all the stuff that I could do without, and it's great.
Yeah, it's so fantastic, man. It's really great. I played Ticket to Ride Nordic Countries. Been loving that, especially around this time of year. It's all wintry and everything, and I'm like, this is great. I mean, it's 85 out here, but it's nice to think of like a winter wonderland somewhere on
LA is the only place worth living.
Yeah, that's fair. I would never move, but it's nice to at least imagine snow. I will never see it.
Yeah, I can watch it on TV.
Yeah, it's out there. Played some Trails. Trails is a good time.
We did play little Trails. That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
If you want to get the feel of kind of parks going up and down trails, simple stuff. Just grab some resources, get to the end of the row, turn in those resources for merit badges, do some pictures and stuff. The actions kind of ramp up as the game goes, which is fun. You get more and more resources more easily.
Yeah.
But it's just charming and sweet and nice. Like I think it's like $15 at Target too. So I'm like, that's a good game.
Great looking game.
For the price. I'm like, dude, like you can't beat that. No. It's great for what it is. Really enjoy Trails. Play some Wendake.
Great little interesting action selection system. We talk about it a lot, and it's got a little area control aspect of it. We really like Wendake. Every single time I play it, I'm always like, yep, that's right. I like this exactly as much as I remember liking this.
I like that.
Because every time I'm like, do I like this as much? I'm like, oh yeah, no, I do. I love Wendake. I think it's absolutely incredible. I think we talked about it in our last underrated games because I think it's one of the most underrated games on the planet.
It's really cool. It's just got a lot of good going for it. I played some Whirling Witchcraft, which I continue to really enjoy.
And that was fun to play with more than two. It's still great at two, but it was interesting to play more than two. Fun. It's like Whirling Witchcraft is such a cool, quick game where you're trying to overwhelm your opponent.
Some games are very fast.
Yes.
If you don't get your engine built to deal with what's coming your way.
I was just overloading Mike with spiders all game.
Dude, Spider City. And it was something where I built my engine to deal with spiders, and I was getting rid of I
was giving so many every turn.
And it just didn't matter.
Yep.
I just like 1,000 more. You're like, where are all these spiders from, man?
I destroyed in that game.
You crushed that game. That was really well done. Finally, Nick, we played a game of Zapotec.
We did play a game of Zapotec at BGG Con. And it's great. I like Zapotec. It's made by the same person who made Calimala. Interesting action selection system that I think is really, really cool. Yeah. And yeah, it's just, I like Zapotec a lot. It kind of gives you that like big T game kind of feel with the theme and the stuff you're doing, but it's like 45 minutes. So it's nice because you're like, oh, I can kind of get this kind of feel,
very fast,
but I can do it in a way shorter amount of time, which is really, really nice.
And Board and Dice is going to do this thing where they kind of do this sort of jump start for Zapotec where you might get a starting resource that you don't normally get in the setup. It's coming with like a goodie box they're doing.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see what that brings because I think it'll take that game just to another level in terms of being able to get you up and running even quicker in an already quick game.
Variable player powers and jump starts. That's what I want in every single game. You know what else I need in my life? Jump cuts. So that was all the games we played in this month. At the end of every Rapid Reviews, we like to talk about the new patrons we got in the last month. Except for last month, we just like randomly forgot. So we're really, really sorry.
We apologize.
We're going to talk about the last 2 months in terms of who we got with patrons because we just forgot. We're very, very sorry about that. So we're trying to make up for it here. But if you want to check out Patreon, you want to get a shout out doing Rapid Reviews, check out the Patreon. It'll be linked down in the description below. But last month, we got Charles Brown. Is that Charlie Brown?
Huh?
Is it Charlie Brown, you think?
I just like know that person has dealt with that their whole life, and I hope that you're like about it. And if you're not, I'm so sorry. Charles Brown, thank you.
Thank you so much. We got one from Seppi as well. Thank you so much. We got
a bunch of people edited their pledges and up.
That's
their
what it is.
Pledges,
Yeah, so we got
really
a lot of up pledges
Thank
in
you
terms
so
of editing.
much.
So not too many new patrons, but we got a bunch of new ones. And so thank you so much for being a part of our Patreon. We really appreciate it. If you got a couple shekels, throw them at us. We don't mind it.
We'll take them right to the face.
Yeah, right.
Just don't throw like 50-cent pieces or bigger, because that can become dangerous.
Yeah, that can become dangerous.
Or at least let's wear eye protection.
Thank you so much to all our patrons. We really, really appreciate y'all. You're really, really wonderful.
I love y'all.
And yeah, that's all the games we played in the month, man.
Everything is. This was the biggest month we've had in a while. We've been kind of ramping up.
Yeah.
But this was the first time we go to a convention where you get this huge hit of games in a very short period of time.
Yes. And the first time we'll be able to do that in a while.
Literally a year and a half.
Yeah, I put like 30 games.
The first Rapid Reviews we did, I think, was right after AirCon. And that was the last time we had a convention type month.
That's right. Yeah.
It's nice to go full circle.
It's nice to go full circle. But that's going to be it. Let us know your favorite game that you played down in the comments below. And make sure to subscribe while you're here and do all that kind of stuff. We appreciate it. Check us out on Twitch where we play all these games 4 times a week.
Most of them were played
Twitch.
in front of your eyes.
A lot of these games we played on Twitch. And that's why they're in this Rapid Reviews. But nonetheless, thank you so much for being here. And I think that's going to be it.
All right. Well, until next time, everybody, I'm Mike.
I'm Nick.
We'll see you in the next Rapid Reviews.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much for watching that Rapid Reviews. If you want to check out some cool Game House episodes, check out those videos over there. We do Game Houses every month now. We really think they're cool. Make sure to subscribe while you're here. Share this video around and click that thumbs up. All that stuff really, really helps out a lot in Daddy Algorithm.